to help students and go for STEM careers, in other organizations, like, for example, Code Week, to have a space in Portugal where they can develop their activities. I have a master's degree in teaching, first and second cycle, which corresponds to the ages 6 to 12. And I'm a certified educator, certified trainer, etc. Some little facts about myself. That you can find all my life in diogodasilva.eu. My contact is there. If you want more invitations to talk about EdTech, all I require is coffee. You can drop me a line on LinkedIn or Instagram anytime you need some help with some AI tool, some Minecraft tool, or the other EdTech technology. I'll be happy to help. And I think that we can begin now with a very interesting question, which is, what is AI? And I would like someone in the audience, if my dear host could gather someone in the audience to give their opinion about this question. What is AI? Can someone participate and formulate like an answer to this very simple question? But what is artificial intelligence? How do you define it?
All right. Anyone can turn on their mic to please attempt the question, please. Thank you. All right, please, you can turn on your mic to attempt the question. What is artificial intelligence? Anyone can do that for us quickly, please, to save time.
It seems that everyone is very shy still. That's not a problem. So I'm going to help you out. So according to Microsoft, one of the leading companies in the world, and one of the companies that is using AI actively in their business strategy, AI is a series of computer and mathematical and logical systems that kind of simulate human reasoning. So basically, it creates kind of like a human thought in a machine. Okay, and what can we do with AI? Or we can create predictions, we can create content, we can, through all these mechanisms, we can generate data or interpret data in order to achieve something. And when we have an experienced AI, we can use it for various advanced systems, like, for example, image recognition. And nowadays, we are already finding image recognition systems. If you go to, for example, London, at the airport, there is already a prototype of a system that will recognize if you have a digital passport and allow you to enter the country by just passing through. You just have to pass through. On the other hand, there are other systems, like, for example, China's social credit, where they analyze and through facial recognition, they analyze your face, and you are constantly monitored, but it also affects your actions, also affect like your social credit. So there are various ways to use AI. And of course, self-driving cars have become a thing. We are seeing more and more news about the systems where the car drives itself, and that is all through AI. Of course, these are very advanced systems and nothing that we're going to implement today. Today, we're going very simple. Now, there is another definition of AI, and that's the definition that has been talked about, let's say, a year ago when ChatGPT was all the rage. And I heard many teachers say, and of course, it will be the end of everything. So students will copy everything and they will not know anything because they will use AI to answer everything that we ask them. That was the conversation that we were having, like people were having in coffee places, people were having in corridors, and everyone was scared of AI. I actually interacted with teachers and that had this fear. I think right now that fear is kind of gone, but there is still a lot of doubt about how to use AI appropriately. We know one thing: AI has come to stay. So basically, we need to use it, and how to use it, and most important, how to teach our students to use it, will define their careers in the future. Now, there is an extra definition of AI, and that's the one I use. And my definition for AI is that AI is attractive. I'll get back to this in the end, but I want you to keep this idea in mind. Why does Diogo call AI attractive? So, beginning with what kind of AI do teachers need? Generative AI, which is the most common one, you found it already, for example, by playing around with ChatGPT or Bing Chat. And most recently, this last year, Microsoft has released Copilot, which for those who are already using some system like Microsoft Teams are very used to it already. But nowadays, we can, by just using a personal account, we can actually start to work a bit with Copilot on our own. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. But there is another type of AI that I wanted to talk about. That's called the hidden AI. And the hidden AI, those two concern teachers. But the only one that we actually have to use and operate is generative AI. Because the hidden AI, it's the AI that I want you to be aware of, but you don't really have to work on it. The hidden AI is the AI that makes everything function. Like, for example, it powers Facebook, it powers LinkedIn, it powers Instagram, and it makes your ads show up on your phone, and you can park cars automatically with that AI. Do we need to interact with it? Do we need to code? No, we don't. That's the difference between the two most important, in my opinion, AIs for teachers. We need to know a bit on how to work with generative AI, because that's going to be a very useful tool for us as teachers. And we need to be aware of the hidden AI. And the hidden AI is just something that you can teach your students that it exists. You can tell your students that someday they might work on it, but it's not the basis of what we're going to do. Now, there is one thing that I like to always talk about, and it's the ethics of AI. So I brought to you 4 questions. I'm going to present each one, and I would like you to read the question. And if anyone wishes to participate and give their opinion about the question and give an answer about the question, I would invite them to do so. So all these 4 questions, they are not mine. They are presented by UNESCO. You can find them on their website. And the first question I have for you is, an AI feeds on data provided by developers or users. What happens when the database has biases? And what I mean by this is that, for example, ChatGPT crawled all over the internet for all that data. And we know that the internet is biased. We know that many people with many different opinions about many different topics have opinions. And sometimes those opinions are just opinions. They are not facts. So what are the consequences of using a generative AI model, like ChatGPT, for example, to provide us with answers that are subjective? I will ask someone in the audience to comment on this.
All right, please, that's a question for us. Anyone can unmute and attempt that question. So what are the consequences of using a biased AI? An AI feeds on data provided by developers or users. So what happens to when the database has biases? So anybody can please attempt the question for us. Or should I begin to call names? Please, we need response. We want this to be as engaging. Okay, let's have
Hello.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cass. Thank you.
Sorry, can you come again with the question, sir?
Okay, the question is showing on the screen, but I'm going to repeat it anyways. They said an AI that feeds on data provided by developers or users. Now, what will happen when the database has biases? If the database has biases, what will be the consequence of using such AI? So that's the question.
Okay, now in summary, we are talking of the disadvantages.
In a way.
Okay, I think when the data is no longer functioning, the work of the AI will be so expensive and it will be limited.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe you can have another person attempt that question. Mr. Ado Daniel, can you take over? Hello, Ado, you can unmute yourself, please, and speak up.
I think that Mr. Ado Daniel has left his hand raised since the beginning.
Okay.
So I don't know if someone else, where someone else that wants to participate.
Okay, we have Mr. Ido
Hello?
Balogun. Speak. Yes, we are hearing you.
All right. There will be a risk of the spread of propagandas.
Okay. Thank you. Can you expand? What do you mean by spread of propaganda? Can you maybe help us explain further?
All right. What I mean by there are some people who might want to uh, bring a kind of divide and rule, or a kind of bringing false information to destabilize some sectors of work, or to discredit them. So there is the risk of all this information. I mean, bringing all these informations together by the propagandas who have those information in the database. There is the risk of bringing them together. I mean, to pop up when information is needed as regard what one is doing at a particular time.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we still have one more person. If we can give chance, can we have Mr.
Yes,
Marcel?
we can do one more person so that we can follow up on to the next question.
Okay, let's have Mr. Marcel, please.
Hello.
Thank you, Mr. Marcel.
Okay.
You have the floor.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. So I think using AI that is biased is dangerous, because it's going to give information that is not reliable. So we should at least try to make sure that the AI system that we are using will not be the one that is biased, because it's going to give information that is not reliable, and that could be dangerous. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, gathering all the answers that the audience gave, and thank you so much for all the answers. Yes, the information can be biased. So I would advise everyone that when in using AI and teaching your students how to use AI, you should, first of all, teach them that like all the information that they are finding there can have or should be fact-checked, and they should actually do more research on it. So I'll give you a simple example. I wrote a book, and my book, let's say that our dear host does not like my book. He gives it a scathing opinion review, and then someone else gives it another bad review. Okay, those two people give it a bad review, not because the book is bad, but because they do not simply like the subject of the book. Now, what happens, and what we were talking about, the propaganda thing, what happens is that my book is not available online, and the AI will not read my book. It will only read the opinions of those people. So my book will be labeled by AI as being something that is not good for that kind of subject. So, for example, my book is not good for whoever wanted to do the propaganda that Mr. Kass, I think, was in. If I mistake the name, I'm sorry. But maybe that book was, and it was targeted as propaganda. Something like that. It could happen. So that's the dangers of using AI with subjective questions. And you should always tell your students that it's important for them to analyze the questions. Now, I've got another very good question for you. Virtually all areas are using AI to facilitate data processes or cross-referencing. What are the dangers of using AI in the justice system? So imagine that you have an artificial intelligence that you use in the justice system, and you decided to give the AI the power to sentence people. And that is very dangerous. But I want to hear your opinion.
This is an interesting question.
This is an interesting question.
Given AI, this is a very, very interesting and a very good question for us to debate on. So who is hitting the ground running for us?
Can I say something?
All right, you're free.
Now, let me cite an example of what happened 2 weeks ago in my classroom. As an example, I was teaching the students, I teach design technology. So I was teaching the students orthographic drawing and design. And I said, the British adopted the first angle projection, while the American adopted the third angle projection. And as I was teaching, because it's a computer base, my students were busy browsing to confirm what I said in the class. And then they got an information through AI that it is the opposite of what I said. That the Americans adopted first angle projection, while the British adopted the third angle projection. Whereas it is a false information. And then they took the message out of the classroom to be discussed outside, and I was called upon to be judged of what I'm teaching in the class. A panel was set to judge me that I'm giving false information to the students. But because I knew what I was saying, so the student got the information given to the student was completely wrong through the AI source they got the information from. I've been teaching this. So I told the student, I've been teaching for the past 22 years, and I know what I'm saying. At the end of the day, I said, let us Google it, and we Google it. And we got the real information from Google. And then they were able to establish that. But if they have used AI to judge me, probably I would have been sacked.
That's a perfect example. Do we need any more? Do we need more opinions? Mr. Diogo, do we need more opinion?
No. I'm sorry. I think that you were asking. I thought you were asking for more opinions. No, we don't. And that's a perfect example. For example, how dangerous AI can be if used without reasoning, without thinking. And I put up this example, and UNESCO puts up this example as well, exactly because what if we give it autonomy to decide, for example, people's fates? And what people have been telling me about this question is also that we are removing the human factor from the equation. And sometimes I press them on like, but are we as humans not biased as well? Can we not have our own prejudice, our own bias, our own wrong opinions? But thank you so much for that contribution. I think it was like a very good example of how AI can have a detrimental effect if not used with reasoning. So, computer systems can generate art based on an artist's particular style, but who is the author of this work? Will it be the original painter or musician, or the engineers and companies? And this actually has a very clear example. So the painter Rembrandt, his paintings were fed to an AI algorithm that analyzed every detail how he painted. And then in the end, they created a 3D printer to mimic the painter's brushstroke, so that the machine would create a complete original Rembrandt. But the question is it a Rembrandt? It has all the particularities of being from that artist. It has all the elements, all the brushstroke pressure, all the way that he painted, all the color tones that he painted, all that he did. But it was painted with a modern machine that basically mimicked it. And it didn't copy a painting. It created a new painting. So who do we consider the author, and who do we consider the owner, and how do we move along when we'll move forward with this new way of creating art? What are your opinions on this?
All right. Maybe I can share a little opinion because I was opportune to attend a course on copyright um, by Commonwealth Learning Center, and I think something like this came up in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the who we are supposed to attribute this work to is who gave the idea. Because in my opinion, right now, the painter had the idea, but the AI was able to copy the idea to produce a new painting, but the idea still belongs to the painter. So if I'm going to judge this case, I will suggest that the work is the painter's idea, so it should belong to him. Maybe other people can add their opinion in this situation. Okay, do we have other
Someone
people who
else?
want to have opinion, who want to add their opinion to this? Okay, maybe you can move forward.
Hello.
I don't think we have enough time anymore. Or okay, someone is speaking. Is it Mr.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Adesanya?
think. Yeah, Mr. Desanya.
Okay, thank
I
you.
think you've spoken well. I'm also in support of your opinion. I'm in support of what you said. You know, the original idea, the owner of the original idea should be given credit to, and not somebody who the AI that copyright, like you said. So I think I'm also of the opinion that the owner of the original idea should be given credit to. That is my contribution.
Okay, but then I have a counter question for you, which is the idea came from the AI. The AI created the idea. It was told to generate a new painting on the same style. So the original painter had no influence except providing the style from the beginning.
All right, is anyone supporting or giving us a different idea on this? Who is coming in this situation now?
Okay, I guess we don't have any more opinions on this one, so I'm going to move to the last one. Car self-navigation systems are beginning to appear. And how can we trust an AI with a decision on how to act in a situation where human life is at risk? So the example I've been giving, and one of them, because I have many examples on this, is how can we trust a car that is driven? So I'm going to use my host again and say that my host is summoned is Tesla or on any other car. Now let's not use a brand here, but has summoned this car to come pick him up. And the car is self-drivable. It will reach his position. But on the way, it sees an old lady and the children crossing the road, but his brakes don't work. And in the split-second decision, it has to decide which way to take. Left, and the old lady is run over, or right, and the child is run over. How can we give power to an AI to make that decision? And if we are to give it power, what will be the criteria to decide which way it goes?
That's another interesting question there for us. So please, we need more response from everyone. Maybe I'll contribute later because I did a project on something like this recently. So, do we have people in the house? How do we give AI power to take decision on life risk situations? So, if you want to speak, you can speak, please. You can unmute yourself and speak.
All right. Can I say something?
Fine.
Yes.
All right. With my idea of electronics, I think a car that is being driven by AI should be programmed with sensors. There should be a kind of synchronization of sensor that recognizes human being some kilometers away to avoid that kind of situation.
Okay.
I understand, but what if the system that stops the car is not working? That's the question.
If the system that stops the car is not working.
Yes, it has to decide if it goes left and runs over an old lady, or it goes right and it runs over a young child. Because it cannot stop. It will eliminate both, let's say, if it goes forward.
So if you are raising your hand and you need to speak, you can speak out. You can continue, Mr. Balogun, if you still have something to say.
So if you are raising your hand, what I'm just saying is what I'm saying in essence is this, because that could have been avoided if there is a sensor some kilometers away. A sensor will recognize risk of hitting human beings ahead some kilometers away. So that is why, because since you said the system that is stopping the car is not working, so that becomes a very difficult situation to manage.
I know.
And then that should be looked into by the manufacturers to see how they can better improve on that when they are doing the evaluation.
That is very true. And that is one of the questions that is usually told as a follow-up question in this situation is who is responsible for a bad decision on the AI part? And I think there was someone else that wanted to add something.
Yes.
And after that, we'll follow up with the remaining of the remaining part of the webinar.
Yes, can I say something?
All right, go on.
All right. I think in addition to what Mr. Ido said, I think there should be something like a detector to preempt, okay, if there is actually a fault ahead of time, just like in a car, when your fuel is you are running out of fuel, you begin to see an indication that, oh, this thing is already going red. You need to, refuel and all of that. So in my own opinion, I think if something is going on mechanically, AI should also need to be able to detect from the engine, and then there should be an indicator, an alarm, or what have you, to actually preempt or let so that it can be addressed beforehand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all for your contributions. Now, I have some other questions for you, but first, I want you to prepare yourself because we're going to use AI from now on. We're going to use generative AI. And if you are on mobile, and we're going to take a small break for you to prepare yourselves. I'm going to give you the instructions now. If you are on mobile, I would invite you to install the Microsoft Copilot app, and the icon that you are seeing on the screen is that app. I can show you also on my device how it looks. And this is available on all the stores. So basically, it's the Copilot app. I would invite you to do that, and you'll need to log in with an existing personal Microsoft account. It cannot be an institutional account for now on, because otherwise it would have to be paid. And the free version is used. You can use it without payment. So that's we'll have some time now for. I'm reading the chat as well. We'll have some time for that. And for those who are on desktop, it's basically the same thing, but you only have to access copilot.microsoft.com and log in with an existing personal Microsoft account or create a new Microsoft account. I'll give you some time to do this preparation. The accounts are free. You can just register a new account. If you already have an email like a Gmail or an Outlook, if you have an Outlook, you already have access. But if you have a Gmail, you can register it as well as as a Microsoft account so that you can use Copilot. And so I'm going to give you some time to install the app. If you don't have, if you cannot install the app on your device, you can access it as well through the copilot.microsoft.com on your device's browser. So I'll ask for you to, I would like to say 5 minutes maybe to proceed. And then I'm going to teach you how to use Copilot to enhance your classroom activities. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So that means we are going on a 5-minute break. Please, 5 minutes so that we can come back quickly and continue where we are starting from. So the task is we are downloading the Copilot app. Like you mentioned, if you don't have a Microsoft account, you can easily do that in a few minutes provided. Good. Then you can also use desktop, but I would rather advise that we go on desktop now for as many that cannot quickly download the Copilot. But then I think I did mine and it's very quick, so you can also do yours too. So we have 5-minute break. Mr. Diogo, should we log out and log in again to save time or to buy more time too?
No, there is no need. I'll be here to help anyone that needs help installing the app or something, or needs help registering. So I don't think that there is a need to log in. If you can do it without logging out of the call, it would be better. And I'm here to provide support to anyone who needs. Okay.
I want us to do that to save more time on Google Meet. Google Meet is limited.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yes. Save time.
Okay, we can log out.
Is Miss Victoria talking? Okay, we'll be giving updates on the WhatsApp platform too. So, Mr. Cass.
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Cass.
Yes. Now that my laptop is totally down, can I use my phone to create the Google account?
The Copilot. Yes, you can use your phone for it too.
So, am I creating my personal one or based on this platform?
Okay, Mr. Diogo, let me hand over to you.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Am I creating the account based on this lecture or teaching or on my personal?
This will be for your personal use. You'll be able to use this account later on as you please. This is for your own personal use. Please use your own credentials. And if you already have a Microsoft account, you can use that as well, like Outlook, live.com.pt,
Hotmail?
Yes, Hotmail. Any Microsoft account that you can log into will be useful. So I guess that will be logging in 5 minutes.
Yes, 5.
This to maths, but we can do it also. For example, give it a text and ask AI to generate the interpretation questions. We can use the same text, like for if it's about science, if it's about geography, to create questions about the text. But for example, I'm going to show you live here how to use Copilot to generate the multiple exercises and actually solve one of the exercises so that your students can see it live. You can see it solving the exercise during class or when they need it. You can also use this content to provide you with, for example, a list of exercise and consult for your students to, when they have doubts, go and check the consulting material to see how they can solve the problems. So now I'm going to move on to Copilot, and I'm going to actually use the quadratic function that I have on my presentation. I think that you are able to see my screen. I'm going to use this quadratic function. And I'm going to actually copy the whole prompt that I give you here. And as you can see, we have a type of conversation. Yours should be in English. Since I'm Portuguese, mine is showing up in Portuguese. But do not worry, the setup will be basically the same. You have 3 options to be more creative, more balanced, and more precise. You can choose whichever one you want, but usually when we're trying to create content, we're going for precise or balanced. So let's try this one on precise. I'll please generate like determine the roots of f(x)(x). If you're not used to using something to the square on computer, you can use the symbol so that it gives the square. So first of all, I'm going to ask AI Copilot to generate 5 exercises like determine the roots of this quadratic function. I'm going to hit enter, and we're going to wait a bit, and it's going to generate my 5 exercises. You will see that in my presentation, I told it immediately to solve it, but since we're doing this live, I want you to see how it creates the content. Now, it might take a bit to generate the content, and now, while it's generating, I'll invite you to go to your Copilot and try to make it generate some kind of exercises, like 2, 3, 4 exercises about your class, like the content that you usually teach. And as you can see, my Copilot is already creating 5 exercises based on that prompt that I gave it. So it has created 5 different ones so that my students can teach, can solve. And look, it's also sending me like information on how to solve it. So this is like a more like a mathematical, like the interpretation of how to do it, like, you know, the frac and the PM. So you'd have to understand like what square root, etc. But you already have the content here. It was able to create 5 items, and this would be something, yeah, for a math teacher it will be very easy to do, but it saves you time. And not only does it save you time, it saves your students time when you teach them how to create more exercises for them to work on. And then you can do this. You can do, please, I'm very kind with AI. Solve the first exercise step by step. Now, depending on the way that we write this prompt, it will solve it with a more human language or a more technical language. So it's actually solving step by step. And as you can see, it's giving me identify the coefficients, calculate the discriminant, and it will go on and tell me how to do it. So this can be used for both you creating the content that explains your student the information to your students, but it can also be used for you to for your students to self-correct. So you give them the exercises and they have to solve them, and then they can use it to self-correct. We need to educate students, of course, not to use AI to create the answers for them, but actually to use it to study. So I don't know if anyone was able to already generate any content. I would invite someone that was able to share their experience, please, if they were able to.
All right, can I take the lead? Can I take the lead?
Yes. yes, please.
All right. So, to a large extent, I've actually been using generative AI, but I'm more of ChatGPT. But when Mr. Diogo opted to do this for me, I was able to engage the Copilot, and I really like the fact that I have alternatives, and it makes a whole lot of sense to me. So I've been able to do one before now, so I want to share that one. While I was preparing for how to announce the session for this our webinar, so I was able to put up an idea. For me now, I'm not afraid of typing or writing. I can type and write anyhow. Then I give it to AI to fix it for me. So I've been able to do that today. While I was preparing, I was able to generate a particular concept of announcement or advertisement, and I gave it to Copilot to make it better and correct all the tenses. So, and it was able to come up with something for me. But Mr. Diogo, I'm here to see how I can retrieve my history from Copilot. Is it a possibility?
That is. Copilot saves your history of questions, and I'm going to show you, although I actually cleared mine for this presentation, but I'm going to go on full screen and show you that. Okay,
I
let me
think
go
I've
on to
seen it.
Copilot. As
I
you
think
can
I've
see
seen it.
here, yeah, you might see here on the top right corner. This is the latest activity. So
Yes.
your queries to Copilot will show up here.
I've seen mine. Maybe I'll share it. I can share it on the WhatsApp group for those who
I'll
want to access it.
That would be very interesting. So anyone else was able to generate content? This is the most basic example that we have. And this is like something that we usually use to explain, to create the first content, like how to generate content for teachers. So for example, if you have an exercise of English, if you have an exercise of languages, if you have an exercise of something, you can ask AI. You just give it a small prompt like saying, I have this exercise. Can you generate 5, 10 exercises similar to these? And you're saving time. You're saving your time, and you're actually saving your students time when you teach them how to generate exercises for themselves to work on. Now, moving on of my examples, my second case study, which is one of the. Oh, of course, yes. I think we have someone that wants to participate.
Can I say something?
Sure, you can.
Yes, I've been able to generate mine, but I don't know how.
I think that we'll have to make you presenter.
Okay, do you want to share it with us on the screen? Mr. Paul?
Yes, please.
You want to share it with us, right?
Yes.
Okay, try and share now. Try and share your screen. You should be able to. Try and share.
Okay. Share my screen.
Is it going?
Just a minute. Yeah, I'm coming. Share screen. Okay.
Just share the entire Windows also. Okay, fine.
Can you see?
Very, very good. That's beautiful. Wow. Can you zoom it in back? Zoom it in back. Okay, it's loading.
Okay.
It's still loading.
It's resetting. Copilot is resetting the app. So what we can do is, since sharing the screen might take a bit of time, you can take screenshots or even share it on the WhatsApp for the group, so that people can actually use your searches and your queries.
Can you still see it?
Yes,
yes, we are seeing it.
Mm-hmm. So.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yes.
And the good part of it is it was able to tell the particular method to be used in solving each of them.
Very good. Thank you so much, Mr. Paul. It's an amazing example. And I think that the audience can see that it's very easy to create some exercises very quickly. Let's move on so that we don't delay. I'm going to share my screen as well for our second. Thank you so much, Mr. Paul. So right now, we are going to one very important exercise that we need to teach our students on how to work with AI, which is using AI for fact-checking. And I think, I don't remember who had the problem with the information fact-checking, but I'm going to give you a very quick example of how we can use fact-checking with AI. So instead of creating content that students need to memorize, students need to learn, we have observed that students really like to correct teachers, and they really like to correct content. So why not create content that is wrong by nature, but the task your students have is actually to correct it.
Wow.
So what can we do? For example, I used this little prompt that you can see on the screen. If you want to write it yourself, I will also I'm going to Copilot to use it so that you can see. And so it allows us to have the student self-correct the information, but also gain a habit of fact-checking its information, that it is not trapped by misinformation. It's they get this habit of I don't think this is quite correct, so let's see if I can find the answer. And one good way to do it is using an AI. Of course, after using an AI, you should always check the sources that the AI has given you, and that's something that you can do with Copilot as well. And I'm going there right now. I'm going to copy my prompt here, create a simple question, and I invite everyone to try and use this one as well, or any other one. Nigeria achieved independence from British rule in July 1st, 1832. Is this correct? I'm going to send this prompt to Copilot, and then we're going to wait for the answers. Now, you can try this with any content, and yes, you might find it that sometimes it makes mistakes. You can also correct it, or you can check the sources to understand why it gave you a mistake. But I'm pretty sure that hopefully it will get this one right. I tried it before, of course. And to try your own fact-checking examples with Copilot. For now, we'll just have to wait a little bit so that it runs the code so that it determines if my
All right, thank you. As many who have been able to download Copilot, please let's come up with different
statement is correct or not. So as you can see, no, that's not correct, and no, Nigeria gained its independence from British rule on October 1st, 1960. I think this is correct. The date you mentioned is not correct.
Yes, that's correct. The one you mentioned is correct.
It's not. If not, we're moving on. We're going to our third example. And this one, I think that you might be used to, which is creating amazing images with artificial intelligence. Now, why is this useful? Sometimes we're creating presentations like this one, and sometimes we need content that's generated, and it's automatically generated to what we want, to the specs that we want. Sometimes we need an image, for example, of a penguin playing the guitar with a cowboy hat. Why do I need that? For example, my students are creating a STEM project, and they have to do to have like a fake company, and that fake company has to have a logo. But none of my students have training in design, and they are very, they think that they cannot achieve what they want without a lot of time spent on learning how to use an image editing software like Photoshop or GIMP if we're going for open source. And that's understandable because they only have 3 weeks to develop the project. So they ask me if they can use AI to generate a logo. And I say, of course, you have to understand that you're using software that will probably not achieve completely what you want. You'll have to alter the image as well, but you'll get a base on which to work on. You also get inspiration on to build something. And the prompt that we use to ask Copilot, it's generate an image of something. Now, there are some images that Copilot will not generate. It will not generate images of people based on real images. So they might generate an image that doesn't exist. So if you give it now, that person will not exist. They have. I'll challenge you is generate an image. So that's going how to do image generation with Copilot. There are 2 ways. You can go directly with what I wrote on my presentation. So let me just grab it here, which is generate an image, and you can paste it directly here on Copilot, or you can actually, if you have like the option to, I'm going to reset my Copilot for a second. If you have the option here of the designer option, you can actually ask it. It will
Not.
on desktop, or you because it's the part of the design images. When press on your right, generate an image of a company logo that has a penguin with a cowboy hat playing a guitar, it will enter this screen that you saw with, for example, an hourglass or a computer that's generating, and it will usually generate 2 to 4 images. And when you press on one of them, you'll go into this screen and you can see the images that you generated. Now, I would ask you to copy or download the image and send it to the WhatsApp group with your generation. It doesn't have to be a penguin with a hat playing a guitar. I would like to see your creations and see what you come up with simple prompts. Let's not get it too complicated. But like this, just write, generate an image of a dolphin singing in an opera house. And let's wait and see. It tries to create that. It opens up the creation image, which is the hourglass. You'll have to wait a bit, but it will give you this. Now, why are these images useful for a teacher? Sometimes we need images to be used. Of course, these are silly examples that I'm using, but sometimes we need images to illustrate our content. Sometimes we actually need technical images to illustrate our content. And those are difficult to find because we have very specific scenarios. You can use Copilot to generate those very specific scenarios and help you create something that you will not have to look into, find on Google, find it sometimes with some watermark that you have to that you cannot remove because it's bad, or it will have to have the watermark there. So you can use this tool to create the content that you require. So I'm going back to my presentation, but now I will enjoy seeing your creations on our WhatsApp group. I don't know if anyone. I don't know if is there any problems with my sound? I saw the message on the chat.
Yeah, I think it was breaking, so I wanted to be sure it's not breaking on every other person's end. That's why I sent that. So if there's any breaking, people should inform us so that we can ask for repeats. No problem. You can continue.
Okay. So was anyone able to generate some images and paste them on WhatsApp?
Yeah, people are already dropping images on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Yes, I was able to generate an image.
Speak on.
I was able to generate mine.
That's good.
Hello. I was able to generate an image also, an image that has basketball and love in it.
Wow.
Can you share it to the WhatsApp?
Yes, that's been shared on the WhatsApp group.
I have a challenge here.
Yes.
I have a challenge here.
Yeah.
And the challenge I have is, it's saying, I see that you are interested in generating images of analyzed products in IBM IP4. Is that this is a subject that involves applying practical and creative thinking skill to solve design problems, exploring the roles of design in historical and contemporary context. It was just giving me messages, not the image, and couldn't generate. He says, I will try to create that, but couldn't create anything.
Maybe it's your connection, but we usually, when you give it, it gives you a description and it will give you the image in the end. So just try the same prompt again, or refresh and try it again. Or just write the prompt that you want here on the chat, and I'll try to make it work if you can. If you can put it on the chat, I'll try to make it work live.
Okay. This is.
So I'm generating an image that will serve a logo for the WhatsApp group. So I'm going to send mine now. I gave it a
Okay.
description of the WhatsApp group platform. So I asked it to generate an image for it, and it's doing something fine. So I'm trying to edit the image with a prompt too. So I'm just exploring different style. So let's see. I'm going to send my final decision as soon as I generate it. Thank you, Mr. Diogo. You are doing a good job for us. We appreciate your efforts.
So let's, okay. I think generate images of analyzed product. Okay, let me try that one. And I'm going to do this one live. I'll hurry up so that we can move on to the next exercises, and because we're reaching our time. Please tell me if my sound is not. Analyze product in MVP. Okay, let's see if generates an image of a product. Let's try like this to see if it understands, because it's it's a limitation of the software that because you're probably using this. I don't recognize this IBMYP for design, but probably because it's proprietary, it cannot use it. For that, you need to use another AI tool that is designed specifically to create probably this content. I don't.
Sorry,
if
Mr.
I
Diogo.
was to miss my sound.
Can I more call me Mr. Diogo?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Mr. Balogun, instead of using IBMYP, I think that's International Baccalaureate Middle Year Program, can you just use it in full instead of giving it an acronym? Maybe you should use it in full. Instead of writing IB, use International Baccalaureate. Then instead of MYP, that's Middle Year Program. Maybe that will work. Try that too. Let's hear the feedback.
Okay. So let's move on, and I'm going to continue my presentation. Let me present my screen again. Now to our fourth and almost final example. So we have created already content, we have fact-checked, we have generated images, and now we're going to one very interesting part that is one of my favorites, creating content that your students can use for support. Okay, so one of my competence, I think I can use that term as a teacher, is I can teach maths from 1st grade to 6th grade. And during 5th and 6th grade, we start working with different kinds of numbers. And even before, and my students usually have to create, investigate numbers. Sometimes it's their divisors, sometimes it's their prime numbers, and sometimes I'm bored of correcting those exercises, because correcting the 31st natural numbers, their divisors, and their prime number or not, it's very, very boring. So this is, of course, a silly example, but you can create content using Copilot for students to self-check their work, or if you want to print out, put in the classroom wall, or in depending on what software we use. If you use like a Google Drive with your students, if you use Microsoft Teams or something, or Google Docs or whatever, if you use that software and you want to generate content that your students can look up at any time, if they want to print out and take home, you can use AI to generate that. And this is very good because, for example, if I ask my students to verify the first 30 natural numbers, their divisors, and they're prime numbers, I would have to correct 30 pages of this. Now, I'm going to teach my students how exactly to do that. So I'm going to go to my Copilot again. I'm going to get my data because, I'm sorry, and I'm going to get my prompt here. And I'm going to ask it to generate my data. So I'm going to just refresh so that you can see the whole page. Okay. And I'm going to go for precise this time. I don't want it to get any creative with this one. Oops. I think I didn't copy, so I'm going to copy this prompt. I'm going to generate. Okay, it apparently doesn't want to copy, so I'm going to write it. Generate a table of the first 30 natural numbers, its divisors, and whether they are prime numbers or not. And we're going to hit enter. And now we'll wait, and it will actually start generating the table in Excel format so that you can actually download it as an Excel. Or you can print it out and give it to your students, or you can tell your students to do this and self-correct their work using AI. So after they, of course, find out the answers, they can use AI to determine that. Now, how to educate students to use AI? That is a very interesting question, because I know that you're thinking that, but the students will use the AI immediately to create and they'll not have the work. Yes, but all of this has to be calculated. So they actually have to do the work of determining the divisors. More than that, I think that we need to educate children and students on how to use AI, like not as a cheating tool, but as a working tool, something that they can use to create their own content. And so that's part of the work that needs to be done. So you could download here, edit in Excel, and it will upload. It will download the file. Currently I cannot. Oh, it did. It will download the file so that you can check it out. And sometimes you'll need to change the prompt accordingly to what you want. So as you can see, it didn't generate this time the 30 numbers, but sometimes it's just a matter of changing the prompt a bit. But as you can see, it generated the divisors for 6, 1, 2, 3, 6, and it said it's not a prime number. It generated the divisors for 9, 1, 3, 9, and it said it's not a prime number, but it was able to determine that 1 and 7 are prime. Yes, 7 is a prime number. We can ask it to please continue generating the table until the number 30. Let's see if it accepts my input. Sometimes it needs a little bit of help. So as you can see, I asked it to continue because maybe it was lazy. So it's continuing to produce this content. I had some examples. For example, people asking me to generate tables of wind. I don't know if anyone teaches something related to aerodynamics or aeronautics. But I had people asking me to generate tables with wind speeds in a specific airport on specific dates, and it will generate that content because that content is freely available. This content is being calculated, so this content is being generated as we speak. So as you can see, with a bit of help, it got through the hard part of determining that it needed to do the work, and it continued on. So I don't know if anyone is generating content right now. I'll ask you to share your content. If you did so, you can screenshot and send to WhatsApp, which is easier. Or if you want to show it live, we still have some minutes, and I would invite you to share your screen if you want to show us the content that you produced.
All right, are we working on our content? our time is fast spent actually. I think we have
Yeah.
about we are supposed to have about 10 minutes more,
Then-
but we can just go a little bit above board, a little bit. So do we have people who are ready to share with us quickly? A lot of people have been sharing on a WhatsApp group, and I think some people are mistakenly sharing some of those images in some groups where I advertise the webinar. So I'm trying to fix that up so that they will not penalize me for doing that. So I advertised the webinar on different group, and I realized that some people are already sharing those images and some of their prompts on those groups. So I'll fix that anyways. So please, as many who want to share their screen for us to see what they have done, please indicate so that we can allow you share your screen and we are going to see what you have done. Or you can send them to the WhatsApp group too. It's also fine to send to the WhatsApp group.
Yes. So I think that I'm going to move on to our last example so that we are still on time while people are sharing. And my fifth case study is image verification. And what you can actually do is that you can feed Copilot an image and you can tell it to try to identify what that image is. So I have an image here of a black tulip. Let me just refresh again Copilot. I'm going to add an image from my device. I'm going on my desktop here, an image of black tulip. I'm going to give it to Copilot and I'm going to ask it to identify this. So what it's going to do is analyze the image. Now, this cannot be used to analyze people. If you put an image of people, it will probably describe them, but it will not identify who they are. Now, Copilot is also a very safe environment, so that's why I suggested to use in the classroom. And as you can see, Copilot has said that this delightful image features a field of tulips, including a permanent display of black tulips in the foreground. It was also able to identify that behind it, there is an array of pink and red tulips. Okay, what can we use this for? We can use it to identify objects. We can use it to identify plants. If you are a biology teacher, you can use it to help your students determine what kind of plant flora an example is. So this can be useful in many ways. It can also be used in engineering. It can also be used in even mathematics. So you can actually feed it something that's an image, and it will translate what the content in mathematics, and it will probably give you, like, for example, do the inverse quadratic function that we did. Just design your quadratic function, send it, and try to let's see if it can identify it. So those are the examples I have for you today. I hope that if you have some pictures there that you can try and see if it analyzes them. But I'm going to get back to my presentation here so that our host doesn't yell at me that we are over time. And now I have a fundamental question for you. Should I teach my students on how to use artificial intelligence? And this, I would like to know your input on this, if anyone wants to address this question. We have a bit of time, so I would like to know your opinion.
All right, our opinions. The question is on the screen. Should I teach my students how to use artificial intelligence? Please, I think I want as many people to please discuss this matter. Okay, let's have Mr. Marcel quickly while we wait for others to speak to.
Okay, yeah. It's a simple thing. It is very easy for anybody to decide this question from what we have done now. He has told us that the students need AI to do a lot of things in the class, not in form of using it for cheating, but to help themselves in answering some questions and coming up with a nice response. So I think it is better to teach our students how to use AI. Thank you.
All right, more opinion. Mr. Paul, you can speak now.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think, in my own opinion, we already neglecting the place of reasoning, because during our days when we went to school, there was nothing like AI. So we were able to use our thinking faculty. We were able to think and be able to solve problem on our own. But with the advent of AI, in as much as is good, for instance, to decipher if a particular problem or solution is right or wrong, but then the place of using human ability is now neglected. So for me, apart from making the work easier and faster, the place of human reasoning is now neglected. So our students, our learners won't be able to think critically to be able to solve problems. So that is my submission.
All right, let's have Miss Sarah.
Uh, Basically, I believe that AI is part of today, and our students should have the skills, basically, just how to use AI. But in case some of them are need that help, I would definitely encourage them to use it and to use it properly. All the soft skills are needed to be implemented while using AI. So I'm not worried about lagging or lacking some skills, because they will be using a better skill while using AI, such as critically think, verifying the answers, going creative, going above and beyond to be in the today's world. Thank you for today's session.
All right, thank you so much, Miss Sarah. Can we have Mr. Abdurrahman? Please unmute and speak, Mr. Abdurrahman. Or whoever is able to unmute first. We have Mr. Idowu too. Then we have Mr. Chijioke. You can unmute and speak quickly.
All right, let me say something now. In my own opinion, in relating to my subject, which is inquiry-based teaching and learning, we will encourage students to do research. And in the course of doing the research, we instruct them. In fact, I will instruct them to cite the source of their information. So what I do tell my student in the class is, even if you use AI, you need to cite the source of your information, where you get the information from, using MLA style of referencing. So it is very, very important to encourage the students to use AI. I mean, to encourage them, to teach them how to effectively use AI. And when they are using AI, they should be able to cite the source of the information, where they get the information from, so that when we know that they really use AI to do this. So it's very important.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Balogun. Mr. Dio, can I still give more chance, or?
I think we are running out of time, but yes.
Okay, fine. Let's have Mr. Chijioke. Mr. John Chijioke.
Okay, good evening.
All right, thank you. Good evening. Speak on, please. Oh, I think we lost him.
Okay, then maybe I'll follow on. So, in my opinion, yes, like other technological innovations, this is a tool that can be leveraged by students to increase their performance. I think Mr. John is able to speak, but...
Okay, Mr. John, can you start again? I think you went off. If you can start again, you actually went off. Okay, Mr. Adogo, go on.
Okay, so basically, when it comes to should we teach students how to use artificial intelligence, there are two, in my opinion, two reasons why to do so. The first one that we actually covered during this webinar was the fact that they can generate their own content. And I agree with Mr. Paul, critical thinking is very important. And Ms. Sarah, it's those skills are very important. but they are not going away. Just, getting a new tool that will help us in teaching and learning. The thing is, we should definitely teach our students how to use prompts and prompt engineering, because I'm used to saying that right now, by now I have talked immensely about AI, and I'm used to saying that my generation, anywhere, everyone else's generation here is not the generation of AI, and our students and their children are the generation of AI, and they will have to use it daily. They will have to know how to use it, to leverage it, and that will be the difference between them being hired or not. So I use a very, very harsh example, which is I have in my team two amazing multimedia designers. Let's say one of them uses AI to generate an image, and the other one decides to do the image on their own. And one of them generates an image with AI in 1 hour, retouches it, creates an amazing product that I can deliver in 1 hour, in 2 hours, let's say. And the other takes 24 hours to design it by hand, which is an amazing effort. And I value that work amazing. Like, it's awesome to see it, the whole process, the thinking, everything. But unfortunately, what will happen is that companies will always look for the best cost effect. And so we have to give our students the possibility of, getting jobs of the future, and understanding how to use prompts to help their work will be essential. Will we always value the artistic part of the job? Yes, I think so. I will sometimes ask my designers to create something from scratch by hand, because I see value in it. But many companies will just want a quick design, because that designer can also be creating this webinar. They can also be writing pamphlets. They can also be working social media. Like our dear host was today doing everything, and he realized most likely that with AI, he was able to do his work faster. So some things we will have to adapt to all this change. And that comes to my last slide, which is AI is a tractor. And it's a tractor in the same way that when farmers first saw tractors, they thought that they would come to take their jobs. They will lose their jobs. When robots showed up and started appearing in factories, every worker thought that they would lose their jobs. And when anything new shows up, we always fear that they will substitute us. We are not to be substituted. We simply have to adapt to new tech, and we have to reskill and upskill ourselves. But most fundamentally, we have to skill the next generation to be able to use that tech. And so that is why I call AI a tractor, exactly because it's going to be the tool that will replace many of the tasks that we used to do. Like, for example, generating the content that we used to do by hand. So I don't know if we still have time for some Q&A, but if someone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Of course, you also have my contact. I'm going to put it here in case you want to contact me. You also have my contact. If you have any need of help in tools with AI or EdTech, you can always reach out to me via LinkedIn or Instagram. I'm always available to chat. And the only thing, like I said, cup of coffee. Thank you so much. And if anyone has a question, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Mr. Diogo. You have really, really helped us tonight. We are really, really very grateful. Please, can we please share emojis to appreciate him? Let's give him clap. Let's give him thumbs up. Let's give him love. Let's give him congratulations. Please, let's just share emojis to say to express our appreciation to the trainer.
Thank you so much.
All right, we are very wow. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. So now, we have less than 10 minutes to go. So, oh, there are questions. There are a lot of questions. There are a lot of questions. Okay, let's start with.
So maybe we can put the questions in the chat. It will be easier for me to answer them if they are written in the chat, maybe.
Okay, that's fine.
So
that's fine. So let's put the question in the chat box. Let's put the question. Let's write out the question. Maybe I'll start with while some others are writing. Can we have Miss Udo? You know, can you on your mic? Let's have a female voice. A lot of male voices have spoken tonight. Let's have a female voice tonight. Miss Udo, please unmute and speak out. Mr. Abdurrahman, I'm going to unmute you too. I know you've been raising your hand for a long time, so just be patient. Let's have Miss Udo quickly. Thank you, Miss Udo.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I want to say thank you for this awesome class. I just stumbled upon it by chance, and I'm happy that I'm here. So my question is, when doing story writing, because I also write stories for children, we can also use this, right, to create before you have to give an illustrator to draw images of your scenes. So I believe you can use Copilot to now do this instead of looking for someone to be an illustrator for you, right, Mr. Jugo?
Yes, it is. I think yes, my mic is on. Yes, you can use Illustrator if you give it the necessary prompts. Like for example, let's say that you want a princess, you want a knight, you want doing some kind of action. If you give it enough detail, it will generate an image that you can use to illustrate. Now, when it comes to rights of image, you should check with your regional and national rights on how to use it for publishing, because it usually, I think you have to say that it's AI generated, but that changes a bit according to where you are located. But I would encourage you to actually write the text and send it to Copilot so that it creates the image. I would advise not to send whole books that you have written or whole short stories, because this version of Copilot, since it's free, it's also feeding its own algorithm. So anything that you put there, do not put personal information, do not put student information. This is all, of course, open. So everything you put there will be fed to the algorithm and to the databases. So that is an advice that I have for you. So
okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. So when it comes to one of the questions that we have, can we have access to the slide? I'll be slides and use Copilot. All websites that have those questions. So, how do you use AI to solve problems involving diagram in mathematics? For instance, questions on circular theorem. Okay, I would advise that maybe not specifically Copilot, but you can try using Copilot. What I would do is use some software to draw the diagram and try to fit it to Copilot to see if it interprets it. If not Copilot, there are many other tools that are specific for maths, so that you should look for those tools. Copilot is the one that I suggest to use in a more general way, because basically it's free, like ChatGPT, the free version. If it doesn't work with one, try another one, and you'll be able to eventually find a tool that will be useful for you. Mr. Edu, can you generate videos to? Currently, Copilot is not the design generating videos, although you can try, for example, Midjourney. You can try, for example, there was another tool, OpenAI now has a tool generator as well. So you can go to openai.com. I think it was released one of these days, the video generating tool. It's the one, the same company that ChatGPT. You can contact me on Instagram. Please just say that you want to talk about Minecraft, and I'll reply whenever I whenever I have time. So there was another, Copilot totally free. Yes, Copilot for personal accounts is totally free. If you have an institutional account, like for example, your school is a Microsoft, if you have like a Microsoft license for your school or your company, it's not free. For example, right now the US might have some trials, but it's not free, it's paid. And I will explain now why, because what you're using now, this Copilot, is basically whatever information you feed it. That's why don't share personal information, don't share student information, or whatever information you're feeding it, it's used to the database. And private Copilots, which are the company's Copilot, so you basically, your school buys a Copilot license, buys a company license or a school license, and the data does not come out. So basically, you can have student data working there, you can operate it within Microsoft 365, but it will not come out. You'll get everything that's outside that gets in, but your data is stored on a private Copilot. So that's something that, that's not free. But using the version that we're using right now, totally free. Everything we did today, totally free.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Diogo. I'm really tense right now because a lot of people are still prompting that they need to ask questions, and our time is far spent. So please, we might have to take a little bit of your time more. If we have to log out, then we have to log in for those who really need more attention. But right now, someone got a prompt that they have exhausted their session with Copilot. I don't know why that is possible.
Maybe if it says that your session is expired, maybe your login was not working.
Okay.
Because you need to actually log in with a Microsoft account. Otherwise, it will say you cannot do more prompts because you're not logged in. So you need to use your Microsoft account. What I would suggest is that you create, for example, a dummy account just to work on AI.
Okay.
So that that account is always connected to your application, to your browser, and you just use it to generate AI, and it's always logged in. So that's something that you can do. If you need help, reach out, please.
Mr. Abdraman, you've been wanting to speak out. Please speak now.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much for the session. In fact, I unfortunately, due to battery problem, I missed it about almost 90% of the program. I just logged in about 10 minutes ago, and so I wanted to ask: is a recorded session so that we can just give us the link later so that I can go through everything?
Yes, I can confirm that it's recorded. So please, we might have to end the meeting right now.
Also, on that aspect. Now?
I think the network is still breaking, and we might have to end the meeting right now. So what I'm going to do is we are going to log in.
Okay.
Sorry, Mr. Diogo, will you be able to have more time?
Yes, thank you very much, sir.
Yes, we'll end this session. I'll be joining again, and